Big score. Tide was starting to turn. TP finds himself open.
It's good, and it's Patrick, and it's Tide.
Another great play call. Great Goff throw. Dan Campbell and the Lions kept their pedal to the metal in Week 17 and avenged their NFC Championship loss by beating San Francisco 40-34 on Monday Night Football. Welcome back to the channel. I am your host, Johnny Gaz. Thank you for returning for another video. The offense was near perfect, but the defense remains concerning. Let's go through three key plays from Lions and 49ers from Monday Night Football this past week, and then we'll hand out some grades for Detroit's victory in San Fran. Let's go. Let's jump right into our three key plays, and I apologize for my voice. I've been battling an illness the last few days, but this was just such a fun game. Let's dive into the hook and ladder, and this came at a great time in this game. The Lions were trailing 14-6 at the time. This is midway through the second quarter. Lions had to get something going. It was clear at this point that their defense was not going to be able to stop the 49ers, so the Lions offense was going to have to keep up. And they pulled out one of their old tricks with the hook and ladder. And we've gone through the previous one against Arizona back on this channel. So let's go through this one now. Looking at the formation, it's kind of interesting because you have Craig Reynolds far left out here, right? And he's not involved in this play at all. He's going to run his guy off. You have kind of a stacked set of wide receivers here with Tim Patrick up on the line and then Jamison Williams behind him. And then you're going to have Sam Laporta motion across here, the formation, and kind of set up off the line over here. And then you have, of course, Amon-Ra St. Brown far right with Jared Goff in the shotgun formation. Let's let this play out, and let's let Sam kind of set himself up to where he's going to end up in this play. Again, he's sort of off the line of scrimmage there. And the idea here is you're going to have Amon-Ra work his sort of slant pattern. He's locked up in a man-to-man coverage, and that's sort of what's happening here. You have a man-to-man lockdown on Amon-Ra St. Brown with their rookie cornerback. They have man-to-man lockdown with Craig Reynolds here, and then you have Lenoir, probably their best secondary player, locked up with Jamison Williams. Tim Patrick is going to be locked up by the safety here, and then you're going to have a free safety. The linebackers are going to shift. I think initially Fred Warner was going to be responsible for one of the receivers here, but with Sam Laporta, he's going to be responsible for Sam Laporta, but with his motion, with Sam Laporta's motion over here, I believe that makes the other linebacker responsible one-on-one for Sam Laporta, and will then make Fred Warner sort of locked in on what the quarterback will do. He's sort of reading his eyes, and we'll watch that play out here in a little bit of slow motion. Let's stop it as the guys come off the line of scrimmage. I think the most important thing here is that Amon-Ra St. Brown is able to get clearance from his one-on-one matchup. That's the first throw that has to take place. You know, obviously Jared Goff is going to read the linebacker here, make sure that he doesn't jump any sort of pattern. And then Amon-Ra is going to need that clean release for the slant pattern to work for this first connection. You see Jamison Williams is sort of going to cross the middle of the field and then going to look to take that pitch from Amon-Ra St. Brown here. Obviously, the key is to get everyone keying in on the first reception from Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then the flow of the defense to come back the other way. You want everybody, this linebacker, Fred Warner, the safety, obviously the cornerback, all coming down, flowing the opposite direction so that that pitch then is kind of a surprise, and Jamison Williams is able to come up the field. So let's watch it play out. There's the pitch. And Jamison Williams takes it all the way around. Of course, we'll score on this play, and we'll pick out a few of the key moments from this play, but we're going to get an end zone view here. Let's take a look as it sort of sets up. You see Laporta then come into motion. He sets us up off the line. Of course, have the best offensive line in football here, which sets up the protection. You didn't have any kind of exotic blitz brought by San Francisco. They really rushed their front four, and Nick Bosa had just gone out of the game here. So it was really perfect opportunity for the Lions to pull out a trick. You knew you weren't going to get a ton of rush, and I was surprised in this case they didn't bring any sort of blitz. It really set this play up for success. So let's watch this play out. There's the pass, the pitch, perfect. Obviously, Amon-Ra's pitch to J-Mo has to be perfect. That connection has to work. And then we're going to get a look at some of the blocks here downfield. Why don't we take a look and watch that play out? Because the touchdown doesn't occur. I think no doubt you're going to get a big play because of the way it's written up, drawn up. But a touchdown, and it doesn't end to the completion of a 6-point score if you don't get some blocks downfield. So let's key in on that. I think the first one's going to be Sam Laporta. Let's watch him here. His role really is to get to the outside. He's going to run a pattern out here and then ultimately try to set up a block. He's going to get a block on the safety. But I think the most important block comes from Tim Patrick. So let's key in on both those players, Sam Laporta and Tim Patrick. Let's stop it there. You see Sam Laporta now after that first reception is basically now looking to see where he's going to get a block. So it's either going to be this linebacker or this safety that he's going to be responsible for to hopefully key Jamison Williams to take this pitch all the way around. Here's Tim Patrick, and again, I think this is maybe the most important block that keys the touchdown. He barely gets a touch. Actually, both players really barely get a touch, but that's all it takes sometimes is a little bit of redirection. So here's the Sam Laporta one. Barely gets a touch on the safety. Then Tim Patrick on number 6. That's a huge block. Let's back that up. Again, Sam Laporta is going to make his block on number 29, the safety. And again, he doesn't get much of them, but he forces him back to the inside, which is going to allow Jamison Speed to beat him around the outside. And here's Tim Patrick, which again, working number 6, who he was locked up with, finishes the play on him. And that's most important. Finishes his block right there, which spurs Jamison Williams for the touchdown. And again, the reason why this works is Ben Johnson's creativity. Obviously, Jared Goff, being able to see that you have the defense set up for their success. Obviously, the execution of Amon-Ra St. Brown, the speed of Jamison Williams, but then all 11 guys working so that this play ultimately ends up in a touchdown. Let's get into key play number 2. We're actually going to jump over to the defense. Wasn't much to highlight there except for the 2 Kerby Joseph's interceptions, and we're going to get the second of 2 right here, which I think came at a very important time. Lions were up 34-28 at this point. This is 7:45 left in the fourth quarter. They're still not able to get stops unless a play is made and Kerby comes up big again. So let's take a look at this. San Francisco ran very similar concepts to this all day long, especially to Ricky Pearsall. He really tore up the Lions secondary all day. Amik Robertson is matched up against him now, but what you're going to see here is Amik Robertson is actually going to fall off into a deep third. Kerby Joseph is going to be deep middle. Terrion Arnold on the far side is going to be his deep third. All of the linebackers here, which here's Ife Melifonwu as well, your strong safety playing up against the run because you see Deebo Samuel is in a shotgun backfield with Brock Purdy. All of the linebackers are going to bite on the run fake. Okay, so it's going to put it in a situation where Pearsall is open underneath, but Kerby Joseph is going to jump this route. As again, I think it's because he's seen this all day long, and he was comfortable reading Brock Purdy's eyes the entire time to be able to jump what ends up being sort of a 7 to 10 yard slant. Kerby jumps all over it, makes a play, is able to turn the ball back over to the Lions here at a very important time in the fourth quarter. Here's the end zone look at it. Again, Brock Purdy really just focuses in on Pearsall, does not make a fantastic throw there. I think if he puts it a little bit lower, a little bit behind, you probably don't get an interception. But Kerby Joseph, again, the ball hawk that he is, ball hand skills he has, he makes the play. Was really key here for the Lions to secure this victory in San Francisco. Couple things to point out. Again, I think the main thing is Brock Purdy, after the run fake, he knows he had all the linebackers bit, so he knew he had all the space underneath to at least make that throw, but I didn't think he counted on Kerby jumping this route. But let's show you something interesting here. What I think, ultimately, if he just waits another split second, let's pause it right there. That's a point of where he lets this ball go. I really believe that if he waited just a minute, where you have Trevor Nowaski locked up with, Juszczyk out here on the left. He basically comes from, where's Juszczyk? There he is in a tight end position there. He kind of runs a wheel route. Nowaski locks up with him, and we know the Lions have struggled in linebacker coverage. I think if Brock Purdy just waits a split second, looks back to his left, you probably have Juszczyk sprinting down the field wide open. There he is right here. Again, it was a rush throw. I don't think that was ever in Brock Purdy's mind to hit Juszczyk in that play because that concept of Pearsall works so often. So I think that's why you had such familiarity, and obviously Kerby Joseph very comfortable. You see it. You read it the whole way and jumped that pattern. Again, a fantastic play. Kerby Joseph's 9th interception on the season, which leads the league. All-pro type status here for Kerby Joseph. And again, was so important here for this road victory in Week 17 for the Lions. And here's my key play number 3. This is the responding drive after the second interception by Kerby Joseph. And this, I think, really kind of put the game out of reach. Yes, San Francisco did get another score to bring it a little bit closer, but I think this really capped it off. And this, I think, shows Ben Johnson's offense manipulating the defense into the Lions' advantage. I mean, using the formation to manipulate the defense to give you what you want. Jared Goff understanding that they got the look that they needed, hurrying the play, and they end up capping this off. So let's take a look at it. They get a trips formation here to the left with Sam Laporta, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Jamison Williams. And really, this is just eye candy. They want to direct all of the traffic to their side, which ultimately happened. They took all of the cornerbacks and then tripled up on them. So all of their defensive back coverage is on this side of the field. You do have the deep safety still. Of course, you have Jared Goff in the shotgun. Jahmyr Gibbs, which you don't get as part of my clip here, motion far right, all the way back. Amon-Ra St. Brown. He replaces Amon-Ra St. Brown, then goes to the other side, and Amon-Ra St. Brown ends up here. Of course, Jahmyr Gibbs right here next to Jared Goff. So a couple things we're going to key in on again is because of the formation, they manipulated the defense. You have heavy set over here. Fred Warner is set to the right-hand side, looks like responsible for Jahmyr Gibbs. When Jared Goff sees this, he rushes the snap. You're going to get a bunch of seal blocks, Tim Patrick's seal block, and Jahmyr Gibbs just using his speed and athleticism to beat everybody around the corner. We'll look at a couple key things here, but let's look at the end zone side of this play. Just a straight speed rush to the right side at that point once Jared Goff realized they had what they had with the defensive formation. Let's dive into it. I think there's a few obvious fantastic blocks. I think Tim Patrick being the first one there. You know, that touchdown doesn't happen if Tim Patrick isn't working downfield, and that's the second highlight we've had here today that's highlighted Tim Patrick blocking downfield to earn the Lions a touchdown. And it's so underrated in this offense, and it's so great to see. But I think a couple other key players to key in on is Penei Sewell, and another, again, that's an obvious one, but I think what's important here is you have All-Pro Nick Bosa squared up against Penei Sewell, which is just one of the best matchups you'll get in the NFL. And he has to get a seal block on Nick Bosa and seal him to the inside, or Jahmyr Gibbs isn't going to get around the edge. And he does exactly that here. Now, he gets a little bit of luck because I think Nick Bosa works an inside move. But Penei Sewell is a pro, an all-pro. He's going to play that leverage and allows that to happen, which allows Jahmyr Gibbs to get right around edge without any interference from Nick Bosa whatsoever. I think the other important one to look at here is Graham Glasgow. And remember, he's returning from injury last week. Okay, he was replaced by Christian Mahogany, who played really, really well. And I think Graham Glasgow has that in the back of his mind. Hey, you got this young pup behind me who's ready to take my spot. Well, he had a fantastic game at guard, and this is a perfect example of that. He gets a touch on Fred Warner here, which, again, is it the make or break difference in this play? Maybe not. But a healthy Fred Warner and a healthy San Francisco defense is fast enough to go get Jahmyr Gibbs. Watch the slight touch that he has here. Let's stop it right there. There's a slight touch on Fred Warner. It's happening right here. It's because he got to the second level. He understood he doesn't need to help with this block anymore, and his role is to get to second level to put a hand on somebody, and he does. So that means that Fred Warner is not getting home to Jahmyr Gibbs and allows Jahmyr to use his speed to score a touchdown. Again, all the pieces have to work in this offense for a big play to become an epic play, and the Lions had several of them here in Week 17. Let's go through my Lions report card for Week 17 and this victory in San Francisco. And you got to start with the offense. What an amazing performance. They get the grade of A from me. You got to start with Jared Goff. Going back to his hometown, the Jared Goff chance. Really another fantastic performance in this MVP season that he's having. 26 of 34, 303 yards, 3 touchdowns. Efficient, in control. Really, since that Texans 5 interception performance, he's been lights out. Jahmyr Gibbs, again, without David Montgomery, he's showing that he can be the feature back. I think he had 22 touches, 163 yards total, had the touchdown. Sam Laporta, the tight end, emerging. He's been a fantastic blocker all season long. It's been a slow burn for him as far as his reception and scores, but that's starting to come out. 6 receptions, 64 yards, and a touchdown. Jamison Williams, another big day. 2 scores, a true X factor for this Lions offense now each and every week. The offensive line was very good. They only gave up 4 quarterback hits, the 2 sacks to Nick Bosa, but everything was very good in San Francisco. They were really carrying the day for the Lions. Again, they get the grade of A for Week 17. Now the defense, and I know we spotlighted Kerby Joseph's 2 interceptions, but they were really awful against San Francisco, especially in that first half. They get the grade of D- for me, and I think that may even be generous. They're saved by Kerby Joseph playmaking. But again, the defensive line just really did nothing. Even statistically, there's nothing to talk about. No pressure, no sacks up front. Miles Adams. And that's why it's easily forgettable. I think he's only been with the Lions for a couple weeks as a depth piece. He ended up with one of the Lions sacks along with Brian Branch. But the defensive line is giving you absolutely no production. Outside of Jack Campbell being able to make plays in the run defense game, the linebacker coverage issues are a problem. The offense for the opposing team for the Lions are able to pinpoint Lions linebackers and pick on them specifically. That happened to Jalen Reeves maybe again today, who in his return looks slow, kind of behind. You really can't blame him. He hasn't played for a long period of time. You hope that's a little bit of rust that he'll shake out. But that whole unit in general is really beat up, and it shows. Again, Kerby Joseph, the secondary, some plays made by Brian Branch. But again, he had the issue with the personal foul. Thank goodness for Kerby, getting the interception literally the play after, and then the Lions responding with the Jahmyr Gibbs touchdown to really cap this thing. But the defense just didn't have it. The way that they're going to win football games moving forward is by getting timely turnovers, getting a stop here and there. But ultimately, the formula for success is going to be what happens with the Lions offense. So going back to this defensive performance in San Francisco, the Lions get a D- for me. The special teams for the Lions, I will give the grade of C+. I think you have problems with the extra points. You had 2. One was blocked. The other one just a straight miss by Jake Bates. That has to be cleaned up moving forward. You can't have those things happen next week and into the playoffs. On the positive end, he did have makes of 42 and 57, another bomber. And he made some love to the turf there in San Francisco. So certainly he had some good things going on. The coverage units were okay. They actually had to play defense and coverage on kickoffs several times here. They did give up a little bit of yardage, but nothing too concerning. So again, special teams for me gets the grade of C+ in this matchup against San Francisco. And finally, the Lions coaching. I gave them a grade of B+ for the Week 17 victory in San Francisco. You got to start with Dan Campbell. Remaining aggressive, playing his starter, sticking to his word. I mean, they really had to prepare like that all week long and wait to see what happened with Minnesota and Green Bay. Minnesota then wins, forcing this Week 18 mega matchup. But I don't think they were then going to pull back the reins and then throw in guys that would have been cold. And ultimately, it paid off for them. They came out of it relatively healthy, just a few bumps and bruises, but nothing added to their long list of injuries. So again, that aggressive style paid off, got them the victory, and they are now carrying some momentum into Week 18. Obviously, the offensive creativity, Ben Johnson, everything that they did in San Francisco seemed to work. They didn't have to punt. Neither did San Francisco. But again, the offense for the Lions is not the problem. Obviously, the issue will be what they do defensively. They got the 2 interceptions. It was the thing that ultimately flipped the game for the Lions. But is that going to be enough to carry the day moving forward? Is Aaron Glenn making enough adjustments scheme-wise to make up for the lack of talent that they have? We know they're hurting linebackers, and really they're not able to cover big-time wide receivers. And we know what they have coming up in Minnesota. So do they just commit to what they've been doing and hope that they get these timely plays? Or is there other adjustments that need to be made here to make sure that they can cap this thing off? Ultimately, again, I gave the coaching grade for Lions Week 17 victory in San Francisco a B+. That's going to do it for my 3 key plays and report card for Week 17. What did you guys think of the grades for this week? Offense, defense, special teams, and coaching. And what other key plays would you like to see me go through here from this matchup against San Francisco? What a Week 18 we have in store. A mega matchup that just will mean everything. It's probably the best matchup of the 2024 season, and they saved it for the last week. Detroit Lions, Minnesota Vikings, Ford Field, NFC North, top seed in the NFC on the line. What a great show that should be. I'm going to be working on my game preview. That should be out this week, Friday, so definitely be on the lookout for that. If you dig the vibe here at Johnny Gas Sports, make sure to hit that like button. It's the best free way to help out the channel. I'd also love it if you consider subscribing if you haven't already. We're on the road to 3,000 now, thanks to you guys. And if you hit the notify bell, you won't miss any future videos. There is a membership option now available. That's where I do all my live game play-by-plays, my tier list, a ton of other fun stuff. But there's always free content here for you. More than anything else, take care of yourself and that mental health. That's more important than anything. I want to see you guys come back on future videos. Thank you so much for your time. Have a fantastic week ahead. Have a great new year. Go Lions.